this.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Reading Time with Jarvis. I am your host, not co-host, your host, Matthew Jarvis. And over the last 15 years, I've read some 300 business books, most of which can be found on the bookshelf in my office, which is a big credibility builder. But today I want to talk to you about one of my favorite books, which I guess all of the books on this show are my favorite books, or I wouldn't be sharing them. Today's book, The Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes. Chet Holmes is perhaps one of the most brilliant but least known marketers in recent history. I first discovered Chet Holmes' work maybe 10 years ago when I bought a 40 DVD set. Yes, 40 DVD set, which I think was like $7,000 on sales and marketing. And I thought that it would magically transform my practice. Of course, it didn't, because nothing will magically transform your practice. However, it was very valuable advice that once I implemented in my practice, did transform it and did become the foundation on what is now my prospect process, which you can learn all sorts of things about in the Backstage Pass. And of course, we've talked about it in the main podcast. So this book, The Ultimate Sales Machine, is a collection of Chet's 12 top marketing strategies, and you can get it for a fraction of the price of what I paid for his DVDs. I want to talk with you shortly about my top 3 takeaways from this book or from Chet Holmes in general. Takeaway number 1 is the idea of the Dream 100, the Dream 100. Chet's description of the Dream 100 is there is out there, whatever your business, and we're talking specifically to financial advisors here, but whatever your business, you really only need 100 additional dream clients or dream customers to have the practice or the business of your dreams. And that's entirely true for us. For example, if you brought on 100 $1 million clients, that's $100 million in assets, even at just 1%, that is $1 million in revenue at a 50% margin, which is a TPR minimum. That's $500,000 of personal income, thus the Dream 100. So we don't need to be marketing to 1,000 to 10,000 to 100,000 to 1 million to 300 million to 7 billion people. Really, if we can just narrow down and say, who by name, right? Dave and Sue, who by name are 100 people in my niche that if they became clients, that would create the dream practice for me. The reason this is so important to focus on is that you can now drill in on these Dream 100 and focus all of your efforts on those people. So for example, in my practice, right, my niche is retirees in my geographical area, Federal Way, Washington, I began figuring out, all right, who would be my Dream 100? Who are 100 people? And I actually never got more than 50 that would be, or 50 on my list, that if they became clients, that would be ideal. So I made this list, right? And there's ways to find people who meet your demographics. Google is a great one. And I began looking, all right, where are these people socializing? What causes do they support? Where do they hang out? Where can I cross paths with them? What are their hobbies? So for example, I discovered that a lot of people in my area on my Dream 100 all worked or supported the local hospital foundation. So I became very involved with a hospital foundation, which is also something I'm passionate about. And I would do everything I could to get in front of those Dream 100 people. And eventually they became my clients. So whatever your niche, find 100 people in that niche that are the best of the best of the best potential clients and focus all of your marketing efforts to that. Even things like a podcast, right? This podcast theoretically could be heard by everybody, but I'm speaking specifically to financial advisors who want to have a highly profitable, hyper-efficient lifestyle practice, right? That's my niche inside of the industry. And so I can just focus all my efforts on those. So takeaway number 1, Dream 100. Takeaway number 2, what I'm going to call tangible marketing items. So Chet Holmes, instead of just sending out bulk emails, though that was a little bit before his time, or excuse me, a little bit after his time, or sending out plain Jane seminar invitations or letters in the mail, he would send tangible items. For example, he would send a Rubik's Cube. So he would buy Rubik's Cubes. They're a couple bucks a piece. He would mail them to his Dream 100 and say, if you thought figuring out this Rubik's Cube was tricky, wait until you try to solve retirement. Give us a call and we'll help you out. Or if you want to learn how to solve retirement, like solving this Rubik's Cube, come attend our next seminar on date or time. So it gives them something very tangible, something that's probably going to sit on their decks, something that differentiates you from the thousands of other pieces of mail that they've received. For example, I, for a while, had a strategy of targeting HR directors so that they would refer their retiring employees to me. Very successful strategy. But instead of just sending them a letter like every single other vendor was, I would send them snacks, right? Microwave popcorn, things that weren't necessarily expensive. It cost me a couple bucks each. Again, I had a Dream 100 strategy. So even if it was $5 a piece, that's only times 100, that's $500. That's not a huge marketing spend. I would send them these snacks and I would say, hey, enjoy this snack while you join our webinar on Thursday the 12th at 2 p.m. And so they would have this microwave popcorn or this bag of chips. I tried to stay to healthier snacks sometimes. And it became very memorable. And they would start attending my webinars because they sort of felt this obligation like, hey, I got this cool snack from Matt and he said I should eat it while attending his webinar. I better attend his webinar so I can eat this snack. And I began getting a very steady stream of referrals, qualified referrals from HR directors. Takeaway number 3, this one is critical. I see this mistake made by companies all the time, especially advisors. Chet Holmes talks about that when you are hiring someone, you are selling them on working for your company. So when you post the job ad that we all see, looking for someone with 7 years of experience with great personal service skills, blah, 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 that doesn't sell the job, especially in our current job market, even with COVID, right? Quality candidates have far more jobs available to them than they need, right? There's more job openings than there are candidates. Again, we're going to exclude COVID and we're talking about highly skilled people. You need to sell them on your job, right? You need to say, hey, this is an opportunity to have a flexible lifestyle, to have a lot of fun, to work on a small growing team, and only bother applying. This is a great Chet Holmes line. Only bother applying if you are the best person we can possibly hire. In fact, we don't even want to see your resume. Just send us a cover letter on why you're the best person we could possibly hire. And if you are, in fact, the best, we'll give you a call back. And if you're not, don't bother calling us, right? So it's edgy, it sells it, it catches the attention of the right kind of candidate. This is the strategy I use for hiring all of my people. In fact, when I hired Colleen, my office manager of 8 years ago, she saw my ad and it said those kind of things. And she thought, who is this guy? You know, he's kind of arrogant here. I'm going to apply for this job just to show him how good I am. And then I'm not going to take the job, right? Like I'm going to kind of just show this guy. And then we met and we hit it off and I sold her on the job. And she says, actually, this is where I want to work. And I was equally impressed because I wanted the kind of person who would step up to the plate and say, I'm willing to take this challenge. That's the kind of personality I have. So The Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes. Those were just 3 of many, many takeaways from this exceptional book. Highly recommend it. And as always, in the immortal words of Nacho Libre, go away, read some books.
Hold on before we go. Something that you need to know. This isn't tax, legal, or investment advice. That isn't our intent. Information designed to change lives. Financial planning can make you thrive. Start today, don't think twice. Be a better husband, father, mother, and